I always felt like the ugly duckling, like the odd person out, almost as if I didn't quite belong there. And even as I looked back, I realized that my journey didn't begin when I came to the US. My journey has been there all along, to where I felt like I didn't fit in and I didn't deserve what I have. And so this continued until I heard Untying the Knots being advertised as one of the small groups that could be taken. My name is Salome Mwangi. That's the name that I was given, but many people know me by Sally, which is easier to pronounce and to remember. I was born and raised in Kenya. Came here to the US about 15 years ago with my 8-month-old baby then, and my ex-husband, who was originally also from Ethiopia. We came here through the refugee journey. We were offered the opportunity to resettle in the United States. Soon after, we parted ways, and I was left raising my daughter. Her name is Deborah, and she's now 15 years old. I so longed to have that personal relationship with God. And along the way, I had felt like I couldn't do that He knew things about me that disqualified me from entering into that place of intimacy with Him. But as I went through Untying the Knots of the Heart, it felt like a fresh revelation came to me about how much God loved me, and that His love was truly unconditional, and unconditional in that it had nothing to do with me. So there's nothing that I could do to lose it, and there's nothing that I could do to increase it, that it was just there. And I realized that all the answers that I'd been looking for were here, and this was it. So being able to go back and forgive myself for the many times I'd put myself down and disqualified myself, to be able to forgive those who had wronged me, or those whom I have perceived as wronging me by mistreating me and ill-treating me and abusing me. And finally being free from those shackles that had held me back from truly embracing the love of God that I had found earlier before in Jesus Christ, but this time truly being free to embrace this love and this relationship. The revelation that God was interested, that God the Father so loved me, and to realize that He was the sum of all the loves that I had been looking for throughout my life, from when I was a little girl to my adulthood. So as I worked through Untying the Knots of the Heart, it was a confirmation of the truths that I had learned over the years as a believer, and that truth finally getting through to me. It was almost like rainwater soaking through soil that hadn't seen rain in so long. And that is what happened, that love finally soaked through, that water finally soaked through and changed me in a way that I cannot go back. I was intrigued recently. I was talking to somebody that I've been working with. I had no idea what was going on in their life at the time, but I was sharing with them about Untying the Knots of the Heart and how we develop ways to cope with our lives from our childhood, from the hurts that we have experienced, and we continue employing those until you get to about middle age and you realize that they no longer work, and your marriage fails, or your other relationships are not doing very well. And that is why many of us cry for help, when you realize, I'm trying to do what I've been doing before, but it's no longer working. And I was very surprised when this individual broke down and said, that's exactly what is happening in my life right now. And I realized that this is the cry of all of us. If we're brave enough, if we're honest enough to say, I have tried everything that I can, and it's no longer working. And this is a perfect segue into untying the knots of the heart and letting people realize you don't have to continue the way you have. And here's a way that can set you free forever.